Talk 1580. Be sure to tune in weekdays at 4:35 p.m. starting Tuesday, March 7th for your daily download on the federal bribery trial of LA City Council member Mark Ridley Thomas. The case is sure to have many twists and turns, and our program will be the show of record in the case of United States versus Mark Ridley Thomas. We have our own seasoned justice correspondent who will be checking in with us to keep you up to speed on the daily details of this high-profile legal case. Be sure to tune in to Areva Martin in real time, weekdays at 4:35 p.m. starting Tuesday, March 7th for United States versus Mark Ridley Thomas, only on KBLA Talk 1580.
First things first.
First is the DU General, Money D. I'ma put you up on the schedule, 6 to 9, 8 weekdays, not doing Saturdays. We got a lot to talk about, so much to pedal through. Unapologetically progressive. Tune in KBLA 1580 to get the mess. Where your ancestors' favorite radio station. First black on talk radio, left side of the nation. Me and Dominique DiPrima go way back. Tap slowly making sure the station stays black. Discussing all the issues in our community. We're hosted black and brown and others find unity. And let's talk about it. Maybe we can improve it. Digital underground, always down with the movement. So we tune in. The first things first with the queen of Black Talk Radio, Dominique DiPrima. Go sis.
KBLA Talk 1580. Good morning and God bless. God bless. God bless. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This show is First Things First. And my first thing every day, giving thanksgiving praises and asking for blessings from God Almighty, from the ancestors, from the elders, from the community. And then we do this. We talk. We unpack. We analyze. We joke around. I mean, it's all here for you. Fellowship, fun, and some studiousness all rolled into one. 800-920-1580. That, when I say that, when you hear me say that, that's the invitation. Consider that an invitation to engage, an invitation to explore, to chop it up, to make each other smarter, to share, and an invitation to freedom of speech in a real way. 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima. This is how we do it. The first hour, we usually look local. It's not written in stone, but we tend to look at the left coast. Hour 2, national, international, outer space, inner space, you name it. And then hour 3, we do a deep dive with a person or persons of interest. Today, I'm excited to have poet, author, and healer, activist, Luis Rodriguez joining me. If the name doesn't ring a bell, he's run for governor twice from a very progressive standpoint. And he wrote the book, which the movie, the film Mi Vida Loca, was based on. Done a lot of really important work in the gang intervention, youth development space, and is a true ally and a creative who always pushes our boundaries. Really, really looking forward to that conversation. And he'll be in studio, so guess what? On YouTube with me. I'm on YouTube by myself at the moment, but you can still tune in. It's youtube.com, and then you put KBLA 1580-1580. Please like, follow, and subscribe while you're there. And while you're fooling around on YouTube, I'm there too. DiPrima Radio is where you can find me, and we can talk about it. Remember the good old days when LA didn't have seasons? It was always like somewhere between 68 and 90, and that was just what it is. We're actually experiencing a season. It might be like a hard autumn if you were on the East Coast. It's not what most people that make the East Coast, their habitat is not what they think of as winter, which I think of as uninhabitable. The single-digit temperatures, we haven't dealt with that. But, hey, we're down in the 30s, 40s, 50s. I do not have clothes for this weather, she said, creating another excuse to go shopping. But it's chilly, and I guess it's going to be chilly all week. And I'm hoping, even though I don't like it, I'm hoping that we are going to have seasons now and that we'll have a few years of this so that we can come up out of the drought that we're in. And I keep saying that drought is not being significantly impacted by the insane rain and snow that we're having now. But it is being impacted. Was just talking about it with a friend. You can see it in the pictures of the reservoirs and such, that we are starting to make a little dent in folks being snowed in. But apparently because the ground is so hard from being dry for so long, it doesn't really sink in. The aquifers are depleted. The reservoirs are so depleted that we would need to be on this level of crazy monsoon situation for several years in a row. Oh, yay, I'm being joined this morning by a partner in politics. She's a Generation X award-winning journalist and on-air contributor who says she speaks like she has the good common sense God gave her, and she was raised right. You can usually find her talking about everything that happens at the intersection of politics, race, and social issues. Bylines, appearances, and producer credits, she has them aplenty. She also happens to be a Democratic political strategist. I'm talking about Jasmyne Cannick. Good morning, girl.
Good morning.
I'm sorry to always make you wake up so early. It's not, at least it's not as early as it used to be.
True. I almost overslept, so I'm so proud of myself.
I'm proud of you, too. And I appreciate you because I always like talking to you. I was just complaining. I know you're a fashionista, and you really have.
Oh my God!
Yes, you've evolved as a fashion leader. I'm just stalking your clothes these days, but to me, I only have about 3 outfits for this cold weather.
Oh, girl, no! I'm gonna pull out my long overcoat, my hats, my scarves, things that, living in California, we don't always get to use, my gloves. Oh, my God, I got leg warmers.
You have leg warmers.
I do. I have leg warmers. It's always 1980-something in my house.
Well,
so yes.
I mean, I see you out there with the fashion for every weather. I don't have that. I got my cute Cali dresses, or I'm going totally hip hop, big boots, giant sweatshirt. I might have to do some shopping because it looks like it's going to be cold for a minute.
Well, you can definitely come with me. It's so funny that you mentioned that because yesterday I was at the Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Plaza and I had popped into Afro City. I popped in there for something completely different, like just to go in there to catch up with a friend who has a business in there. There was a long leather jacket in there, like a trench coat.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Calling you.
I was wheeling and dealing. But, yeah, it was like the kind of trench coat I found in a thrift store before, like one of those OG long, oh, God, it was just gorgeous. And it still is gorgeous right here with me. So,
I was about to ask you, like, is it in the store or is it in your house? Well, I guess the wheeling and dealing worked. But, yeah, I mean, I love it. It's such a fun form of creativity, fashion, and you've taken it on as one of your many sort of missions, I guess you could say, in life.
Absolutely, for several reasons. One, because I am not a size 2. And, for a long time, Dominique, they did not make cute clothes for people of my size. It was like moo-moos. So now, because of the push for inclusion around, in designing clothes, like, oh, my God, I have all these options now. So that's one reason. And the second reason is just because, look, girl, I am Gen X. we are the greatest generation ever. We have got to represent.
You really are on that Gen X, like, yeah.
Well, yeah.
Well, you're doing the doggone thing. I commend you. I mean, you always dress nicely, but I think it was a few years ago you just leveled it up.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I really worked hard at it. And let me tell you, just so people don't think we sitting up here talking like I'm rich or something. No. I am the queen of bargain shopping and finding things. Trust and believe. And it's become quite fun to do that. Like, you know, I was telling someone yesterday I would never spend like $4 or $5. I think you and I had this conversation. Like, I would never spend $4,000 or $5,000 on a purse. Like, that's just not me. Like, I'm not into fashion like that. But I am into, you know, looking, you know, for me, what I consider to be appropriate and being cute in other ways that don't require me to always have to be wearing a label. You know what I'm saying? I'm not that girl. I'm not into like, oh, it has to be Christian Dior. Oh, it has to be YSL. No, it just has to fit me appropriately and be cute to me.
Well, you're making it look like it's all them labels. And I'll tell you something. You know, if I was married to Jay-Z or Lena Waithe, then yeah, maybe I'd be fine with buying $5,000 or $6,000 purses, but that's not in my budget, so we're not doing that.
Well, I'm a Coach girl. I am Coach. I can afford Coach. Yes.
Yeah, I have a few of those. Or else I'll go black designers, you know, all day long.
Yes.
You know, if you can get them.
I have my Telfar. I got my Telfar bag.
Right. The Charles Blackwood stuff is cute. Like, yes, it's still expensive, but it's not thousands of dollars. Yeah.
Right, and the coat yesterday I got was from a black woman, a black business. So I agree with you. Like, as much as possible, we should be supporting our black artists. Art isn't just paintings and sculptures, right? Art is also designing clothes, and we have a lot of black clothing designers. And so, yeah, for sure.
If you want to see Jasmine in all her fashionista glory, I suggest you follow her on the Twitter, Instagram, Facebook joints where she is always posting stuff. Jasmyne Cannick on Facebook, just Jasmine A. Cannick, I believe. On Twitter and Instagram, it's just I am Jasmine. I always get this wrong, even though I follow you.
It's cool. It's Hello Jasmine on Instagram, and I'm just Jasmine on Twitter because I've been on there long enough to have my first name.
Right. Well, Jasmyne Cannick, Jasmine A. Cannick, or just at Jasmine is with us, and you are invited in. I want to talk about a few things when we come forward. Particularly, I would like to start off with a story you've been sharing on the internet and in media about yet another racist bullying situation at an elementary school. What the story is and what's being done about that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The South Los Angeles Clergy for Public Accountability invites you to an ecumenical and interfaith service in solidarity in support of our friend and brother, the Honorable Mark Ridley Thomas. Come join us this Sunday, March 5th, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the historic Holman United Methodist Church, located at 3320 West Adams Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. A veritable who's who of clergy will encircle Councilman Mark Ridley Thomas, praying that in the days ahead, justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream, and, of course, the music is going to be fire. If you're a friend or a supporter of MRT, we hope you will come show your solidarity this Sunday, March 5th, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at Holman United Methodist Church, again, located at 3320 West Adams Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. We'll see you there.
California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com. California is a great place to live and work, but those aren't easy things to do for students also going to college. That's why the state created the Californians for All College Corps, a way for students to build skills and help others while earning up to $10,000 for school. Commit to serve your community and we'll help you pay for college. Spots will fill up fast, so learn more and apply today at www.cacollegecorps.com. That's www.cacollegecorps.com.
King C. Gillette is the modern man's answer to the facial hair. With a complete set of precision tools, the King C. Gillette line offers the perfect fit for your facial hairstyle. Want to try something great? Try the Style Master, the quintessential styling tool that every man needs to craft their style. It's a waterproof, cordless trimmer with a long-lasting 4-directional blade. It's extremely versatile and designed to edge, trim, and stubble in 4 directions on any hair length. Master your style with King C. Gillette.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go, shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms, irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com. Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Fox.
Your ancestors' favorite radio station, and your favorite morning show host. Let's get back to Dominique DiPrima right now.
Talking with Jasmyne Cannick, and by the way, the website is iamjasmine.com. That's Jasmine with a Y. Mine is DominiqueDiPrima.com, in case you don't know that. Just plain old DominiqueDiPrima.com. So you were speaking out last week about these families of black children who were bullied with racist drawings and words at the Peppertree Elementary School. They're now being represented by civil rights attorneys at the Cochran firm. It sounded like, a lot of racial slurs, a lot of racial stereotypes. This is happening at an elementary school. But it sounds like this is just one round of it, that this has been going on some time, and this is in Upland in San Bernardino County. Talk to me about what happened here and where we are with this now legal case.
Yeah, so I'm so happy to be able to work with the students and their parents over the past week around this. And yes, they are, now over at the Cochran firm. Yay! So what happened is, what we typically hear about in bullying situations. You have black kids who are not in a predominantly black school or environment who are being picked on. And it was just, we heard about it during Black History Month, but according to the students and the parents, this has been going on for quite some time. So what, folks who have been following the story know, but folks who haven't been, these students received one student, for example, Chloe received a card that said, "To my favorite cotton picker." And another student, London, was told that she was going to get a card that said, "To my favorite slave," and it was going to have a picture of her hanging on it. They were called monkeys, given cards calling them monkeys. One of the things that I found the most egregious was the golden N-word pass that was being handed out, and it was a pass that meant that if you had it, you were a golden N-word and they wouldn't mess with you. The kids wouldn't mess with that person. And unfortunately, it was given to an Ethiopian boy who didn't know what the N-word meant. And he signed his name to it. And then another Ethiopian boy at the school went home and asked his mother what the N-word meant, and she didn't know because she Googled it, and then she found out what it meant. And she talked about that this week to the media. And I just found that was a very powerful story because unlike Black Americans, in the rest of the world, the N-word is not a term of endearment. It's not a word that people use on a regular basis. So, there are people who are Black from other parts of the world who, may not be aware of what the N-word is.
It is hard to believe because there are so many,
right.
Because hip-hop has made so many inroads all over the world, and we use the word. But I know people like that live here, so I know it's possible. The thing about it is, what rises us to the level? Obviously that shouldn't be happening, but what are they suing for? I feel like I read stories like this every week. The variation is the teacher who does the dumb slave assignment, which is degrades and traumatizes. Oh, they did that too. Okay, so
that happened too.
So, is it considered a hate crime? On what basis are the legal actions being taken?
So, as of right now, now I think it's up to 5 or 6 families, but the families have had claims for damages filed on their behalf because we're in the state of California. So before you can sue a government entity, I don't care if it's a school district, a police department, a city, a county, you have to file a claim for damage, give that government entity a certain amount of time to either accept liability or not. And then if they do not accept liability, then you legally can go forth and sue them. So right now we're in the stage of claims being filed. This particular situation, the bullies, according to the students, one bully is the assistant principal's son, and another one of the bullies is a teacher's son. So that was part of the issue, it looks like, because of who the bullies were. And all of the parents, because I met with them all, they all said, look, this has been going on for a while. We've, complained about this. One of the moms brought in a stack of emails. As a matter of fact, one of the families who folks have probably seen on the news, the Douglases, the dad is a former NFL pro. He played for the Rams, St. Louis Rams, the Jaguars, some other teams. And USC, went to the Rose Bowl, Cotton Bowl, all of that, well-known NFL player. And then the mom is a retired WNBA player. And now she's a Pac-12 broadcaster. So, these are parents who are very active in their kids' life, and they said they particularly moved to that area for the school, only for this to happen. And that Douglas family, they have 4 kids, a 7th grader, 2 twins in 6th grade, and then a 3rd grader, all in the same school.
But, I have found that to be the case as a mom, but we often see that the bullies that are allowed to work with impunity are those children of influential persons. And so they get this sort of free pass to just harass and terrorize other children, especially when there is an imbalance, a racial imbalance at a school where you just have a few children of African descent. I'm tracking, the complaints at Culver City High School, and so many times we take our children to a place because we read the top line, which is what are their academic scores, and we don't dig deeper into the data and say how do they do at educating Black children. And many times, like in the case of Culver City, which I was considering sending my son to, I looked a little deeper in the data and found that, their academic scores are good, but not for Black kids, because evidently they don't do well with caring for Black children.
Yeah, I wrote this op-ed this week about this situation because, there are those of us adults who are probably a little triggered by this, and I don't get triggered easily, but it reminded me of my elementary school days because I did go to a PWI, predominantly white institution for grade school, where myself and my sisters, I think we were the only Black kids at a time who were even in the school, our school. So brought up some things and reminded me of some situations that happened to me, when I was in 4th and 5th grade. And I think for a lot of Black adults who found themselves in the same situation, right, because, my parents had us, and we lived in Hermosa Beach in the 80s. So
wow.
that was like a completely different world. And there were like not even a whole handful of Black families in that city at that time. So, but I know that there are other Black adults who grew up in those situations too. We don't get to choose where we go to school. Our parents make that decision, right?
Yep.
And they're always trying to do it with the best of mind. Because even when my parents got divorced, Dominique, while my dad, got a house in Compton, my mom kept the place in Hermosa Beach. We were not allowed to go to school in Compton. So on the nights we lived in Compton, we still had to get up and trek all the way back to Hermosa Beach for school.
Hold that thought,
yeah.
Jasmine. We've got news, traffic, and sports. That's crazy. And then we'll continue our conversation. We have a lot to talk about, a lot to cover, and you're welcome in on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden is scheduled to attend the Senate Democratic Caucus lunch today in Washington, where political strategy will be the main course. A White House official said earlier this week that Biden will focus on what the administration sees as Republicans threatening to trigger a catastrophic default. Biden and the White House have said Congress should raise the debt limit without conditions, while some Republicans have argued that raising the debt ceiling should be tied to cuts in government spending. Former President Obama will launch leadership training in Chicago, Illinois. The Change Collective initiative will also take place in Detroit and Jackson, Mississippi. Obama says the project is designed to develop, connect, and elevate change makers across the country. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network, and VINnews.com.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Last night in Oklahoma City, the Lakers did not have LeBron James, Anthony Davis, or D'Angelo Russell and still won the game. The Lakers win by 6 to wrap up a 2-1 road trip. Dennis Schroeder scored 22 of his 26 points in the second half. The Lakers get a schedule break. They play their next 5 at home. The Clippers are at Golden State tonight. Tough place to snap a 3-game losing streak. Kevin Durant made his debut with the Phoenix Suns last night. In his first game since January 8th, Durant gets 23 and a 14-point win for the Suns in Charlotte. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. This sports report was brought to you by Original Taco Pete.
Aaron at Original Taco Pete's. Come in today for our tasty seasoned black taco. We're at 3272 West Slauson, off Crenshaw, or call 323-348-4441.
The U.S. premiere of the official Bob Marley One Love Experience has arrived in Los Angeles. Open now through April 23rd at Ovation Hollywood on the corner of Hollywood and Highland. The 15,000 square foot immersive experience opens up the world of Bob Marley like never before and features the entire Rock and Roll Hall of Fame Bob Marley archive. A One Love force that takes fans on a trip to Jamaica in a multi-sensory environment, a silent disco that lets fans groove out to a curated playlist, previously unseen photos, and rare memorabilia, exclusive art from Mr. Brainwash, The Postman, Camo Works, and Idiot Box, and can't miss photo ops. Don't miss the opportunity to celebrate one of the world's most beloved and unifying musical figures. Tickets start at $20 plus fees and are available at BobMarleyEXP.com. That's BobMarleyEXP.com. Get your tickets today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, Hi, Maisha Cairo here, KBLA, live at Chase Bank on Crenshaw and Vernon for the In This Together tour with female business owners, a day of empowerment, community panels, and best of all, tips on building business from marketing to capital. I was able to speak with Kate Luzio, former banking executive and now owner of Luminary, who partnered with Chase for this tour. She makes it her business to build community for business owners.
Yeah, so I was a banker for 20 years before I decided to become an entrepreneur. 7 of those years were actually at JP Morgan Chase. One of the biggest things that I had going into my entrepreneurial journey was a big background in banking.
So what advice are you giving business owners looking for financial backing today?
So Chase brings in so much knowledge and the opportunity to understand what financial tools are out there for business owners to build, grow, and scale their business. A lot of business owners will say, well, I need to get a loan immediately. Well, you wouldn't just lend money to your friend if you didn't know why they needed it. I tell every business owner, you need a business plan, you need financial projections, you need a banker. Because you have to start building a relationship with a banker so that they get comfortable with how you're going to build that business and so that they can eventually support you in different ways.
Makes sense. So visit the Chase Community Center on Crenshaw and Vernon. Meet a banker today. Tell them about your business. I'm Aisha Cairo in the community for KBLA with JP Morgan Chase.
Santa Anita Park, the premier race place for thoroughbred racing, and Sapphire Marketing have combined to present the Big Cat Party in the elegant Chandelier Room on Saturday, March 4th from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. and after party until 7 p.m. This is a VIP event for the grown and classy. Your VIP access gets you complimentary beer and champagne upon arrival, one per guest, with an amazing buffet, complimentary cocktail tasting, live entertainment, and exciting live thoroughbred racing. Tickets can be purchased online at santaanita.com/sapphire or call 626-574-6402. The after party starts after the last race, which includes more food, more drinks, more music, and a meet and greet with the jockeys. That's the Big Cat Party, Saturday, March 4th, in the Chandelier Room at Santa Anita Park, the premier race spot. Tickets can be purchased online at santaanita.com/sapphire or call 626-574-6402.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Do appreciate you, and I invite you always, 800-920-1580, rolling out that red, black, and green carpet. Jasmyne Cannick, we're talking about Peppertree Elementary School, and you were mentioning how some of us get triggered by stuff like that. I, too, I attended 16 different schools by the time I graduated from high school. And many of them, I was one of the only black kids there. And, some of these stories could be right out of my life. So I do think you're right. So the question becomes, how do we stop this? I mean, or what can be done? You said they're filing for damages. The fact that you've got some high-profile, well-equipped parents. It's interesting to see. I've seen it time and time again, especially in the independent schools, very well-equipped, well-connected African-American parents who are not able to protect our children from this kind of BS.
Right. So, as I said in my op-ed, I am not the world's authority on parenting. I'm not even my block's authority. I don't have any kids. But what I do know is that you have to advocate for your kids, just like you have to advocate for everything else in this world, right? As a mom, right? So, wait, can I still use that term? Anyway, as a person.
Don't start with me, Jackie.
So yes, and that's what these parents are doing. Obviously, they've hooked up with one of the greatest law firms, that exists, the Cochran firm. Shout out to Johnny Cochran, but that's what it takes. As you and I both know, a lot of times institutions don't make the changes that they need to make until they're forced to make them, either through these multi-million-dollar settlements or through actions that the court puts on them, right? And so that's probably what's going to happen here. Since we did that press conference on Monday, several other families have stepped forward. So this looks like it's a widespread issue, particularly with with the Black kids. And like I said, there's not a lot of them there, as the students and the parents say. So it'll be really interesting to see how the school district handles it. You know, it's Upland, which is next to Rancho Cucamonga, which is, you know, in this in San Bernardino County, which is, I guess, would be considered a suburb. And, you know, a lot of families moved out that way because the cost of living was better, and they felt the schools were better, and the living environment was better. But at the same time, there were cost pages in terms of sometimes, you know, we say that there's strength in numbers. So, I know sometimes when I go places, I'm always looking around like, okay, where is another Black person? And when you move into areas where there are not a lot of Black folks, I feel like these types of incidents are more prone to happen. But more importantly, Dominique, you and I both know that these kids that are doing this are too young to have developed that type of hate for Black people. They are mimicking what they are hearing and seeing from the adults in their life. Because we are talking about 5th and 6th graders.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I, as a mother, I noticed the jump in that kind of behavior when Trump was elected president. I mean, you could tell kids were hearing stuff at home, and then they were coming and repeating it, that their parents were emboldened by the election of a white supremacist president, and then they just mimicked it. So I think that's right. Since you were over here poking at hornets' nests, that should be on your resume too, Jasmine. You posted on IG yesterday, or maybe it was a different day, but I saw it yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Asking people if they are going to celebrate Mother's Day or Father's Day, or if they would be celebrating Birthing Person's Day. I was like, why Jasmine want to start stuff? I agree. Yes, you are. All right, if you say so. I mean, look, I agree with Neely Fuller, the Black scholar Neely Fuller. You said you call people what they want to be called. I agree with that. Since I am a mother and the person that gave birth to me was a woman, a mother, then I will celebrate Mother's Day. But if I had a non-binary parent, or a parent that didn't want to be called mother or father, then I would celebrate something else. Parents' Day, thank you for, feeding me for all these years Day, or whatever you want to call it. Talk to me about why you asked that question.
Well, I asked the question because I noticed there was a lot of chit-chat going on in public, but just also on social media, about the censoring of the books, the new language that folks are being asked to learn, as well as this idea that you can't talk about it without being canceled. And so I just thought, you know what, look, I'm just curious to know the people who follow me who's going to be adhering to this or following it. And the responses have been interesting. And I agree with you, Dominique. I'm going to call people what they want to be called. But if it's too hard for me, then I won't be around you. Because I don't want to deal with me making a simple, honest mistake and then somebody falling out and calling me this and calling me that, because I see a lot of that happening. Like, we're just supposed to know it automatically all of a sudden. Like, after, 40 years on this planet, I'm no longer supposed to be a woman. I am a person with a uterus, and I'm supposed to know just automatically to refer to all other women like that. Like, no. It takes some time for people, even those of us who want to learn it or are willing to call you what you want to be called, it still takes some time for us to learn. And I don't see a lot of patience from the other side. I don't see a lot of, it's just like, oh, you messed up. Well, you're canceled. And, we're going to take to social media and ruin your business or ruin, your reputation online. And that's something that, I feel really strongly about this inability for these younger generations to have conversations and debate issues without automatically looking for the cancel button.
Yeah, well, I don't believe in cancel culture. I think it's always been around. It's called accountability for what you say and do. Now, I agree with you. People should be more patient. If I called you her or him and I was meant to call you they, you don't get to scream at me or decide that I'm an idiot.
Right.
You just get to gently correct me, and then from there on, I will stick to your preference. Just like if I called you Lulu and you change your name to Penelope, I'll start calling you Penelope, but you're gonna have to let me know.
Right, and you're and folks have to have more patience. In some of these situations we're dealing, they're asking elders to change their ways. And when you ask an elders to change things, even the ones that want to, it's not going to be immediate. There are going to be times where honest slip-ups are made.
For sure.
Look.
For sure. A lot of elders will call you by your sister, brother, or cousin's name. So, and your name has been the same your whole life. So
I barely remember my name some days. Okay, and if you know, you know. But here's the thing: I'm part of the queer community, and I can't even keep up with all of the new terms that they come up with that we're supposed to use to describe everybody under the sun. So it is a learning curve for a lot of folks, and I just don't see a lot of patience with this idea that, I'm supposed to celebrate birthing day this year. I just kind of want to know whether people are going to be celebrating birthday day or special people's day, or were they going to be celebrating Mother's Day and Father's Day.
Yeah, until I get a non-binary mother or father, I'll be celebrating Mother's Day or Father's Day, but that's no disrespect. Because you can even take it a little, further than that and say, well, what if your mother or father adopted you and is not a birthing person? Does that mean we're not celebrating them? Yeah, so, I think the bottom line is you're right that we have to be more patient with each other.
Absolutely, and I brought that point up, too, because I'm just going to go out on a limb here and just use the term woman. I have women in my life who did not biologically give birth to me, but who I consider to be a mother figure, again, going out on a limb here. So I don't feel like I should call them a birthing person because they didn't give birth to me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's
there's a
why
lot of problems with that terminology to begin.
Well, that's why we have to go back to Neely Fuller. Call people what they want to be called. The idea of cancel culture or political correctness, it really means you got to be respectful, and a lot of people don't want to bother. And, I can understand it might not be worth it to be around certain individuals. But to me, respecting someone and what they want, I'm good with that. You're not going to tell me how to live my life or what I want to be called, but you can tell me what you want to be called. I think that's fair. Jasmyne, I think you may have, stirred the pot. We'll see. We're taking your phone calls when we come forward, 800-920-1580. It's KBLA Talk 1580.
Say the quiet part out loud. KBLA Talk 1580.
Celebrate and support your fellow Black women with Black Lives Matter. Maisha Cairo here with your K-Black Minute News, brought to you by Blendistry. This Women's History Month is the Black Women Are Divine Luncheon, Saturday, March 18th from 12 to 4 p.m. at Norman Houston Park. Dominique DiPrima will host a Black Lives Matter luncheon inspired by the spirit of Breonna Taylor. All are welcome to come make an offering. There will be flowers, gifts, healing services, and a healthy catered lunch. Black women, come, receive these gifts and celebrate your Black womanhood. Let's celebrate Women's History Month the right way. Maisha Cairo for KBLA Talk 1580. That's your K-Black Minute News.
Thanks to our new sponsor, Blendistry. Blendistry is a national Black-led small business lender that is headquartered in Los Angeles. Blendistry helps small business owners access the affordable capital needed to grow. Visit Blendistry, LENDISTRY.com/KBLA today.
Tune in to More Than That with Gia Peppers live this Sunday at 4 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580 or wherever you listen to podcasts. This episode of More Than That is sponsored by MasterCard, supporting future entrepreneurs with the digital tools and resources they need to thrive, because blazing a trail for tomorrow's superstars is priceless.
The South Los Angeles Clergy for Public Accountability invites you to an ecumenical and interfaith service in solidarity in support of our friend and brother, the Honorable Mark Ridley Thomas. Come join us this Sunday, March 5th, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at the historic Holman United Methodist Church, located at 3320 West Adams Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. A veritable who's who of clergy will encircle Councilman Mark Ridley Thomas, praying that in the days ahead, justice will roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream, and, of course, the music is going to be fire. If you're a friend or a supporter of MRT, we hope you will come show your solidarity this Sunday, March 5th, from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. at Holman United Methodist Church, again, located at 3320 West Adams Boulevard in Los Angeles, California. We'll see you there.
Our Weekly Los Angeles is the largest audited black newspaper in the state of California, with a distribution of over 50,000 copies weekly. Pick up a copy every Thursday to get the latest news on African American communities of LA. You can also keep up with what's going on in Los Angeles and surrounding cities by going to www.ourweekly.com. The Our Weekly website is updated daily with the current news about us and for us. For your advertising needs, Our Weekly offers economical advertising packages to fit your budget. Feel free to call Our Weekly Los Angeles at 323-905-1300 or visit the website at www.ourweekly.com. Our Weekly Los Angeles, reporting news that matters to you.
We knew you'd stick around. This is LA's home for Progressive Talk Radio. Welcome back to KBLA Talk 1580.
Welcome back, indeed. Jasmyne Cannick is with me, and the phones, they are a-jingling. Let's go to Kevin from L.A. Good morning.
Hey, Dominique DiPrima and Jasmyne Cannick. So good to speak to you both. I didn't mean to change the subject, but if I may, but happy pre-Mother's Day to both of you, or whatever you like to call it. But I just wanted to change topics for a little bit. What's going to happen to that Myesha Taylor situation? I actually tried to Google it, and I couldn't even get her name to come up. So I was just, wondering whatever happened to that.
Jasmine, I don't know what he's talking about, I must admit.
I don't either. You had the name correct?
I know her first name was Myesha. She was the black girl that was missing from the L.A. County Sheriff's Department. Remember
you're talking about Mytrese Richardson.
Richardson.
Okay. Right. Okay. I'm like, I missed the Myesha Taylor story, but I do see that there is a story here. Anyway, you're talking about Mytrese Richardson. Go ahead, Jasmine.
Yeah, so, look, as far as the Sheriff's Department is concerned, I think everybody thinks that case is closed. For folks, quick catch-up, she went to Jeffrey's in Malibu. They called the police on her. She was taken into custody. They released her in the middle of the night, and 9 months later, her body was found. There was never a cause of death. The county did end up settling with her family. Her father, Michael Richardson, continues to be an advocate. And I see that there's been a couple of documentaries and different specials done. I know ABC7 did one, and then quite recently she is a part of a new children's book. They are talking about her in a book. So, there are folks I know in her family who are still pushing for what we all believe to be the truth to come out, because no one is accepting this idea that there's no answer as to how she died. And if folks may not recall, but the reason why they said they couldn't find out why she died was because the sheriff moved her body before the coroners could come, and so in doing that, the coroner said that they were going to have inconclusive results, and they were never able to figure it out. And the sheriff said they had to do it because it was getting dark and Yogi and Boo Boo were going to come, and basically they needed to move her before the animals came. Although she had been out there for quite some time.
Right, and not to mention it was one of the rare times where the coroner's office actually rebukes the sheriffs, saying they should not have moved those remains. And remember, this sheriff at that time was we don't say, we say formerly incarcerated, the justice-involved person, that is our former sheriff, Lee Baca, who was quick to say that we may never know what happened to my Treese. Not there's an investigation ongoing, but we probably won't know what happened to her, which is one of the most suspicious things that I heard during the course of that case. But Kevin, good of you to remember and to keep saying her name, because I do believe that one day the truth and the whole truth will come out. We may not be around for it, but one day I believe the truth will come out. Continuing with your phone calls, 800-920-1580. We're talking with Jasmyne Cannick and you on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Congratulations to the Radiology Department of the County of Los Angeles for being this week's winner of KBLA's Office of the Week. Log on to KBLA1580.com to enter your office to win lunch for 10. Delivered by John O'Groats Family Restaurant.
Hi, it's me, Gia Peppers. Tune in to More Than That live on radio this weekend or wherever you listen to podcasts. This week, I'm talking to new age content creator and virtual reality guru Rhonda X and radio host and business mogul Angela Yee, who will share how they use traditional and future-forward strategies to build sustainable and impactful businesses. This episode of More Than That is brought to you by MasterCard on a mission to help Black women entrepreneurs blaze a trail for tomorrow's superstars.
I was on Twitter super early when no one was on there. And when I was at Sirius, I used to always tell people, get on this. I remember I even have video of T.I. being like, what's a tweeter? What's that? Wow. Yeah. And Jalen Rose, to this day, he'll be like, Angela's the reason I got on Twitter. She was the first person I heard talking about it.
Wow.
Yeah, I helped, Nicki Minaj got on Twitter back then because when she came up, I made her, start up a Twitter page. And so that was one of the first ways that I really started connecting with people, and that's what really helped me get a lot of traction.
So virtual reality is like another social media phase. So it's kind of like in the beginning how everything was on the desktop. You had the MySpace, then everything went to the apps. Right now, everything is going into virtual reality. Being part of the early adoption phase is important so we can all create our own narrative. Whatever you want to do, whatever business you're in, find what works in VR. It doesn't matter if it's retail. It doesn't matter if it's music. There's a lane that can be created. There's no wrongs right now because the lane is so new. And that's why I tell people all the time about it, because I'm like, look, even if you don't know anything about it like that, do your research, get obsessed, and find what works for you. Because when a lane is not dominated, you can create it, and you'll be one of the first people to kind of set the tone of what that looks like.
I love that.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? You're listening to Unapologetically Aggressive KBLA Talk 1580.
Talking with Jasmyne Cannick, just a few minutes remaining here, and there are so many things I had wanted to touch on with you, but time flies when you're on the radio. Before I go to our next call, tomorrow's the 32nd year since Rodney King was beaten by LAPD. Any quick thought on that?
Yeah, it's wow, I can't believe it's been that long, but when I was thinking about that yesterday, I was just thinking about some of the things that recently happened. Obviously, the Keenan Anderson situation here, and some other situations we've had with the police. And it's like, some things have changed, and some things haven't changed. And there's still so much work to do, and particularly when it comes to law enforcement and public safety and criminal justice reform, which respectively are all three different issues. It's, I think for those of us who value our Black history, we do stop and pause and think about where we were on March 3rd, 1991, and what we were doing when we found out about what had happened and the feelings that we had around seeing that. Because, remember, right, Dominique, we didn't have cell phones like that. Everybody wasn't taking video. It was a rare thing to have a video of a black person being abused by the police. As much as it happened, it was always their word against your word or their word against our word, and to have this video really changed the game as it related to that situation.
Fahima from LA, we've only got about a minute before news, traffic, and sports, but of course you can continue your conversation with me if you want in the second hour of the show.
Okay, thank you, Kay Pasta Habarigani, Dominique, and greetings to your guests. I really enjoyed reading her op-eds. I've learned a lot from reading her op-eds. Very quickly, I'm a clinician, and as such, I have to go through training to learn some of the nuances with the fluid language as it relates to the LGBTQ community, because we are required to treat people with dignity and respect. And it would be great if the rest of our society would adhere to that as well. And I heard Laverne Cox on the Breakfast Club when she was saying that people, they make mistakes, and you move on. But there are people who are deliberate in their ignorance. And I remember when people have African names, for example, there are family members who will say, well, your name is Willie, and I'm calling you Willie. I'm not calling you Omawali. And I see some of the similar kind of resistance.
Okay, hold that thought, Fahima. We'll get. I just want to steal a few seconds here, Jasmine. Do you want to say a quick response to what Fahima said?
No, I know exactly what Fahima is talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've all witnessed it. Well, thank you for waking up with me. Next time I'll see if I can get you in at 7 or 8. There is affect your inner. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me. Have a great rest of the show. I'll be listening. And good morning, everyone.
At Hello Jasmine or IamJasmine.com. Time for news, traffic, and sports, and then your phone calls on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. President Biden is scheduled to attend the Senate Democratic Caucus